Hello, everyone, and welcome to the audio edition of the official Lost podcast hosted by ABC.com. Well, folks, you're tuning in just in time to hear about time travel. But if you don't have the time to talk about time, then now is the time to tune out. For more on that reference, check out Star Trek First Contact. And for everyone else, let's move on, because executive producers Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse are with us to, you guessed it, talk about the relativity of time travel and last night's episode, The Constant. They'll also be taking your fan questions at an accelerated rate and still find time to prehash our upcoming episode, The Other Woman. That, of course, airs on Thursday, March 6th at 9 p.m. on ABC and is available the next day at abc.com. Here now are David and Carlton.
Well, hello, Damon.
Hi there, Carlton. How are you?
I'm okay. Yourself?
I'm fantastic.
Well, it's good to be back. We've been working now for about
2 weeks?
2 weeks, and we thought we would start by talking a little bit about what is going to be happening with Lost between now and the end of Season 4.
Essentially, the big question that we're getting asked is, we know that you had a plan to do 48 more episodes. You're going to do 16 and 16 and 16. The strike lasted all of November, December, and January. So as a result of not working for 3 months, what does that mean for Lost?
And, what we have kind of figured out is that we can do basically 5 more episodes of this season. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically take our plan for 8 episodes, and we're going to compress it and try to execute that plan in 5 more new episodes between now and the end of the year.
And I think a lot of people are saying, well, what kind of damage is that going to do? What happens to the 3 missing episodes? And we're actually looking at it somewhat more optimistically. That is to say, it's just kind of going to be a supercharged 5 hours of show. We were already condensed down from the normal 22 episodes down to 16. Now we're condensing down further to 13.
But those 3 hours will not go away. They will be... We still haven't quite sorted it out, but we will add those 3 hours to the next 2 seasons of the show. So there will still be 40 hours in total of Lost left.
Yeah, beyond the 8 already produced.
Yeah. Let's rehash episode 405, The Constant.
Yes,
Is that even possible to rehash that episode? It makes my head hurt, actually.
Here's the thing. I think we already rehashed it. And the versions of us in the past that rehash The Constant might pop into our consciousnesses here. Consciousness I don't know, what is the plural of consciousness? And then we can rehash it, because it feels like just breaking that episode was such a massive headache.
It was definitely like doing the hardest New York Times crossword puzzle for the week.
I remember when we first tried to present to people what the idea was, and they looked at us like we were speaking a foreign language. It's like, Desmond from 1994, his consciousness is time traveling into 2004 on the freighter. So the Desmond that we know and love is very confused because it's a guy from the past who's currently in military camp.
Somehow they can it's easier for people to understand the notion of someone time traveling backwards, but the idea that the show is sort of set on the island in 2004, but someone is traveling forward from 1994, that was pretty hard too.
I mean, I always think, like, if suddenly I were in my body 10 years from now, I'd be very confused by what was going on and who I was around and why I was writing on Carnivore and,
exactly.
all these various things. So it was a cool premise to explore.
It's possible that could be year 3 of the new zombie spinoff of Lost, though.
Time-traveling consciousness zombies?
Time Travel Consciousness Zombies Season 3.
I like it. Yeah, we just start with Season 3.
Exactly.
And people will be like, what about the first 2 seasons? And we'll be like, what about them?
That could be the greatest thing ever.
Just a quick sort of side note in terms of the way that we deal with time travel on the show. We are very paradox averse. That is to say, when our characters are time traveling, nothing that they do can change the present or the future that you have seen, which is different than, conventional Back to the Future time travel storytelling.
Or Heroes.
I
mean, for us, what we don't want is for the audience to not be invested in the flash forwards. When you see that, it would be pretty meaningless if they were a changeable reality.
Well, as far as time travel goes.
As far as time travel goes.
As far as time travel goes, definitely not changeable.
Right. Or that you have a different Jack popping up in an alternative reality, which
Right.
is different than the one that we've established.
That stuff is all really cool. I mean, the Heroes, case in point, for those people who watch both shows, we certainly do and are big fans of Heroes. But if Hero moves back to the past and says there's a catastrophe that's going to happen unless you guys save the cheerleader, if they do save the cheerleader, then theoretically future Hero never exists to come back and warn them. But that's a paradox.
The hard thing about this episode was actually structuring the time travel elements or consciousness traveling elements and avoiding paradox. But that, again, is something that I think a lot of people have speculated about. Are there parallel futures? Are there sort of multiple universes and worlds that exist in the future depending on how events in the past play out? And that is not our intention.
Yeah, and Miss Hawking basically explained those rules in the first episode, Flashes Before Your Eyes, where she basically said, the universe has a way of course correcting. So even if you did something in the past that you didn't do before, somehow the sort of fabric of time swoops in around you and fixes everything so things don't go off the rails. I assume probably after the constant, we're going to get a lot of questions like, well, did Penny know when she went to go see Desmond at the stadium in 2001 that he had told her to wait by the phone back in 1994? And all of these questions. And to that, we just say, refer to the Miss Hawking scene in Flashes Before Your Eyes. She gives a fairly good explanation of how everything works.
Yeah. And, the
and if not, Carlton's phone number is
no.
818.
Stop.
Wait, what?
And yes, exactly.
Yeah.
More on Destiny later in the series.
Exactly. It is our destiny to talk more about Destiny.
Yes, because that's a factor.
All right,
that's good. That's a pretty good. How about a little prehash on The Other Woman?
That's a very clever title there, Carlton, because The Other Woman.
Other Woman.
Right, is probably referring to Juliet. So
yeah.
you will find out within the first 5 minutes of this episode whether or not Juliet is one of the Oceanic Six. I think that there are still a couple slots available, depending on who you talk to. Some people say there are no slots available because they're counting Ben and Aaron both as members of the Oceanic Six.
And she wasn't on the plane either.
Yeah, but neither was Aaron, if you think about it. So,
he was...
He was in utero.
He was in
He
utero.
didn't buy a ticket.
He was on the plane.
I'm just saying. Anything's possible.
After these first 8, though, if there's any remaining questions about who the Oceanic Six are, we will actually list them.
Yeah. Well, I think by the end of episode 7, it will be very clear as to who the 6 are. We don't mean to be cutesy about the Oceanic Six.
Right.
We hold them very, very seriously.
Okay, yes.
So, yeah, it's going to be a Juliet episode. It's, we can't tell you whether it's a flash forward or a flashback.
is holding the action figures of all the Oceanic Six right now as we're doing this podcast.
It's the Oceanic Six action figure set.
All right. So, do you want to do any rehashing on Eggtown since we didn't have a podcast immediately after that?
Well, I will tell you this. Many of the questions that I have for you, at least, are referencing Eggtown. So
let's just get to the dang questions then.
I don't know, Carlton, if you had the same problem that I did with these questions, but there were just too many good ones.
I found that there were a lot of good ones,
and
too.
Nobody wants to sit and listen to us for hours, and we certainly don't have the time to do the podcast. So I think that we should act like presidential candidates for once, and we should limit our remarks. We should answer the question. We should stay on point, but we should limit our remarks to about 20 to 30 seconds. So we'll do a little bit of speed questioning.
We can
kind of go back and forth. Sometimes, Carlton, believe it or not, a simple yes or no will suffice.
Really?
Or an I don't know, or the truth, and we don't have to, go talking about the Politburo, for example. So, I don't
know what your problem with the Politburo is. It's a fun game. I don't know what people did for fun in the Lindelof household, but let me tell you, there's a lot of laughs playing Politburo in the Q's household.
I don't know what we did for fun in the Lindelof household. If you're using if you're using the word fun to describe that, I would say, we sat around a lot and looked at the wall, that sort of a thing.
All right.
It isn't.
Speed questioning. Should I go first?
You should.
Okay. This is from Norwich 2001. Hi, guys. Love the podcast and the show and have to ask this. Where are the others? It seems to me that they're all going to be forgotten because all of our main characters are now dead. Tom, Patchman, etc. However, we know that Richard is off somewhere with the air hostess woman, and so please just don't leave them and hope that we forget about them. And P.S. would love to see more of Penny and her father, especially hope that we get to see more Ben flashbacks. That was just immense.
Wow, I like the word. I like the word immense. Is that analogous with awesome? Anyway, to answer the question in a very
you're not being very speedy. There's a lot of prologue here. Just answer the question.
Okay. You will see. You will learn exactly where the others are. You will learn that in this pod of episodes.
Good.
You will get very specific information as to why we have not heard from them. Probably coming up in The Other Woman, you'll get your first sense of where the others are, in a much more specific sense in the 8th episode.
Good.
For Richard Alpert, you will probably be seeing him again.
Good.
Can't say the same for
what about the air hostess woman?
Cindy, the flight attendant. You might see her, you might not. But that answers all the questions, I think, Carlton, in a very timely fashion. Ding!
It doesn't, actually. There was one more question. Are we going to see more Penny and her father this season?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Good. All right.
There you go. Easy, yes or no. This one's from Coming In Hot. Hey, love the podcast and the show. My question, does it really matter who the two people were that survived the crash but did not survive long enough to make it off the island in the Oceanic Six's lie? I don't think it matters who the two are that didn't make it back. It's a lie anyway, and the Oceanic Six had to have a believable story to fool the world. In a plane crash, people expect people to die and get badly injured, so 2 of the 8 people died when they were there. That's believable. It doesn't matter who they are. It's just a story they had to make up. They died anyway, along with everybody else. It shouldn't matter who they are in their lie. So, is it the Oceanic 8 or the Oceanic 6, Carl? Let's get a little clarity here.
It's the Oceanic 6, and you are correct, sir.
Coming In Hot is correct.
No, just the fact that it doesn't matter who the two are that died.
Great, moving on.
Okay, now there's a good answer. That was succinct. I probably said no more than 20 words.
I think it's safe to say you've spent more time explaining how good your answer was than in keeping your answer brief. So,
okay.
Well done.
Damon.
Good on you. Yes, sir.
Geography lesson for Damon from Pythagoras 99.
Never take a
Far from being landlocked, Tunisia enjoys a extensive coastline along the Mediterranean Sea, including the Gulf of Gabus, the Gulf of Hammamet, and the Gulf of Tunis. Its capital port city of Tunis was originally founded by the Berbers in the 2nd millennium BC and has since experienced a rich and varied history, changing hands more often than Kate Austen.
Clever.
Medellin, the final resting place of a certain Dharma test subject, is located no more than 20 miles from the Mediterranean. Now, I ask, nay, beg, you tell me, since the Ursus the polar bear, can easily walk or swim several hundreds of miles at a time, is the location of Medellin, Tunisia, of any significance in the identification of those special locations on the surface of the Earth?
Do you even know what that question means, Carlton?
I was good until special locations on the surface of the Earth. I have no idea what that means. I think you
looked at that sheet and said, here's a good opportunity to give Damon a geography lesson, and then,
honestly, the truth is, I pre-read the question only on the part which was basically giving you the geography lesson on Tunisia, and I didn't get to the rest of it.
I'm going to give you a quick and interesting answer. There are certain special places on the Earth that relate to our show, and this specific spot in Tunisia is one of them. Another, perhaps, is Ayers Rock in Australia. If you were to go back and look at a certain episode, SOS, I believe it was.
Is Australia landlocked?
Australia is landlocked. It is.
Write in. Tell Damon whether Australia is landlocked or not.
I would bet my life on the fact that Australia is surrounded by land on all sides. All right, Carlton, fast enough for you? My question for you from TK Duke 77. Damon and Carlton, what has been your favorite Dharma product to date? I am partial to the Dharma Spam, featured in the episode Eggtown. Any product reveals you can hint at for future episodes?
I would say my favorite Dharma product is the Dharma Box Wine.
Great.
That's it.
Good. Moving on.
Moving on. Damon, from Samurai Billy Joe Bob. Billy Bob Joe.
Okay.
I messed that up.
Got it.
6:55 at night, he wrote, "Hi guys, here's the question. I'm asking, how exactly does the writing process of an individual episode work? You guys talk about pitching an episode in the writer's room, but I would like to know exactly how you guys decide on the details of an episode, like the dialogue and so on. Thanks again, and keep on rocking those podcasts."
Wow, 30 seconds for that one.
Yeah.
Okay, the very short answer is
Do it like a FedEx commercial.
I can't because I'd have to be reading it and prepared. Good. Now I have 20 seconds left. Essentially, there are 8 writers on the show. We all sit in the writer's room. Every single episode is broken by the collective.
10
We
seconds.
talk about every scene, every detail, what the characters are,
5
what they're
seconds.
saying to each other. Then the writers for
3,
that episode go off,
2,
write a draft. We read the draft,
1.
suggest changes, and occasionally rewrite.
Excellent.
We should probably do a podcast at some point, though, about the process. I think that would be very exciting.
Yes.
Because
Because it's a little bit more complicated than that.
right, and since we don't let any of the other writers do the podcast, thus giving the false illusion that we write the entire show ourselves, it might be nice to just meet some other guests.
We should have the writers in. All right, you're up.
Okay, Carlton, this is from Island Fertility Clinic. Why was this episode titled Eggtown? All of the other titles make sense, but not this one. First off, I take issue with the fact that all the other titles make sense, but
Really,
the questions-
we could spend a lot of time talking about the titles that don't make sense. But the title Eggtown referred to the fact that Locke fixed a couple of eggs for Ben at the beginning of the episode, and then there's also the episode had a lot to do with Kate's pregnancy, and pregnancy involves eggs, and so that was the other kind of sort of metaphoric significance of the title Eggtown.
well, that clears it up.
That's pretty clear, isn't it?
I can't imagine a more concise answer than that.
Fantastic. All right, here we go. Bring Back the Zombies from Admiral Rhinoceros.
I knew this one was coming.
Damon and Carlton, I think I might have just found a way to resurrect, so to speak, the zombie season in the wake of the WGA strike. I had a brainwave. You plan to compress 8 episodes worth of story into the last 5 episodes of season 4, right?
Correct.
If so, couldn't the same thing be done in Lost's final season?
I suppose.
Using the same story compression equation, season 6, 16-episode arc could feasibly be shrunk down to a mere 10 episodes. This would leave room for 6 zombie-centered episodes at the end of the season. But why stop there? If you start planning now, you could compress season 5 down to 10 episodes as well, paving the ways for 12 whole episodes of zombie antics.
All I can say is, you know, I think I'm getting a brainwave. Is that the phrase? I think that's great. We should talk about
You got a
it.
brainwave.
I think we should really explore that idea.
What exactly is a brainwave?
I think it's sort of like, you know, when you see a cartoon and like a little light bulb goes over Bugs Bunny's head and you hear noise like that.
You're getting a lot of emails during this podcast.
Well,
what's going on?
I'm
in your
popular,
life?
I guess. I don't know who it is. I don't have any friends.
You're-
But this isn't really the
I'm
forum
sure
for
it's
that.
could be your mother.
Question, Carlton. The Oceanic Four.
Yes.
In one of the side bits in Thursday's episode, we noticed that Charlotte and Faraday were playing a quick memory game with cards, the result of which seemed to prove upsetting for our friend Daniel. Is it possible that they are testing to see if the island causes memory loss or brain thought problems? Hey, speaking of brain waves. If so, could this mean that the Losties are suffering from problems remembering things, or even making up parts of their own past or present? Also, is it because Daniel may have suffered a head injury when he came down to the island? Or does he have a pre-existing condition? Please enlighten us, O Wise One. Signed the Oceanic Four. So I think these are 4 people who
Wow.
put their heads together for that question.
I take issue with the wise one part of that question, but other than that,
So question A, is it possible that they're testing to see if the island causes memory loss?
well, they're definitely testing to see whether the island might affect memory.
Oh, interesting. So could this mean that the Losties are suffering from problems remembering things or even making up parts of their own past or present, which would explain why they don't talk about anything that happens to them on the island?
That is an interesting extrapolation, but not necessarily true.
Okay. And also, is it because Daniel may have suffered a head injury when he came to the island?
Possible,
Or does he have a pre-existing condition?
more possible.
Interesting. All right. I like
That's
this.
good. This is really going
We're
well.
totally not messing around. I've
Okay.
only got one more for you.
All right,
So.
I've got one more for you,
Oh,
and
great.
then you know what? This is I think this is from the same group of people, so maybe I should get another one. But you know,
The Oceanic Four again?
the Oceanic Four. Well, there's 4 of them, so maybe they're entitled to 2 questions.
All right.
Hey, dudes, as you might know, there's been a lot of whispers lately down at the old rumor mill that Daniel Faraday, the sensitive freighter guy, these people like Faraday a lot, apparently.
Sensitive.
And Ana Lucia's boyfriend, baby daddy, Danny, are one and the same. After all, it would explain her reaction to the finding of the wreckage and how he covered it up to his new lady, and also why he was invited to come. In addition, Ana Lucia was mentioned after hardly any word about it for a whole season and a half in the same episode that Mr. Faraday was introduced. Can you confirm or deny this for us? Thanks, guys. Katrina, John, Chuck, and Courtney.
I'm going to deny it. That is not correct.
Yeah, that's good.
There you go.
Very succinct
Great theory. Interesting.
thing, but
Good shout-outs to Big Mike, but that's it.
Okay.
One more question, Carlton.
Sure.
From Pile of Atoms. Hi, guys. In the Orchid training video, we see Dr. Edgar Halowax holding a bunny with a number 15 on it. He begins to talk about the safety measures that are in place for the experiment that he is about to begin when something falls from the ceiling, and we see a bunny with the number 15 on it on a very high shelf. Meanwhile, the doctor is still holding the original bunny number 15. My question is this. Is the object that fell from the ceiling Dr. Edgar Halowax's arm? We have seen in other videos that the doctor's left arm eventually is replaced with a prosthetic arm. Is this how he loses his arm? I'm thinking that perhaps a few minutes into the future, something goes awry and the bunny and his arm become displaced from that moment in time and space and in that moment in time and space and end up back into the past right before the experiment begins. Thanks, Pile of Atoms.
wow. You know, it's so clever that unfortunately we're not that clever. We didn't actually think of doing that, but we should have done that, or we should do that. The mystery of
Time-traveling body parts.
time-traveling body parts.
It kind of knocks Paradox right out the door, though, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
whose leg is that?
Well, the rabbits kind of also, there's a little bit of a paradox problem with the rabbits, isn't there?
Well, not if you conjecture that a rabbit always showed up in that, time loop. I mean,
That's true. It doesn't mean it's the same rabbit.
I will say this, Halowax seems very concerned that those two rabbits are in the same space, so maybe he shares our issues with Paradox.
Exactly. However, the notion of time travel in the Orchid Station is something that is a very good observation and something that will come back into play on the show.
Oh, yeah,
soon.
like when? 2 years?
No, not that long.
In 1 year?
Not even that long.
In the compressed 6 episodes of Season 5, otherwise known as Zombie Season Part 6A?
I think that might be a fair assessment.
How awesome would it be if we walked into ABC and basically said, we have a great idea for Season 5. We're going to take all the stories that we are going to do, we're going to compress them to 10 episodes, and then we're going to start with our zombie episodes. What do you think? What do you think the reaction would be?
I don't think it would be good.
Yeah.
I as good as it would be to do that, I don't think they would actually...
Even if there was a fan uprising and they sent, how all the Jericho fans sent peanuts in, what would you send in
to Steve
to
McPherson.
demand the zombie season? When we're done,
why don't
this
you,
is this is something good for the fans to start working for. Because you have 2 years now to plan. Once the show is over at the end of Season 6, if you don't completely hate us, and you want the zombie season, what should you send to ABC because you want the zombie season? Parts of your own, rotting anatomy?
No.
I don't know.
I think this is a good place to stop.
Okay. Well, we probably will not be around next week, but certainly in 2 weeks.
At least. At the longest. So, but we're cooking along here. We're very excited about our new episodes. And happy Monday, Damon.
Happy Monday, Carlton.
See you guys later.
Bye, gang.
That's it for this podcast. If you just want more, you can also check out our video podcast available at abc.com. This week, Rob Kiker, the prop master, joins us to give us the lowdown on how to build a time machine. Lost, The Other Woman airs March 6th at 9 p.m. on ABC and is available the next day at abc.com.